When we think of the darkest figures in modern history, it's often Adolf Hitler who comes to mind first, the man responsible for the Holocaust and one of the bloodiest wars in history. But what if I told you that there's another figure who, though less frequently discussed, orchestrated a campaign of such brutality and bloodshed that he too could be counted among history's cruelest? This man was King Leopold II of Belgium, whose reign over the Congo Free State led to the deaths of an estimated 10 to 15 million Africans, a figure that rivals the horrors of the 20th century. Yet, his atrocities are often forgotten, his name barely whispered compared to others. Today, we're going to dive into the disturbing legacy of King Leopold II and explore how his pursuit of wealth turned a vast African territory into a human nightmare. If you're interested in hidden histories, dark truths, and the stories often left out of textbooks, you've come to the right place. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more explorations of history's most overlooked events. The promise of wealth and empire King Leopold II came to power in Belgium in 1865, a king with big ambitions but limited resources. Belgium was a small, neutral country, and it didn't hold any colonies. Leopold, however, was obsessed with the idea of building an empire. But he didn't want just any colony. He wanted a colony that would make him fabulously wealthy. In the late 19th century, the European powers were racing to carve up Africa, seeking land, resources, and power. Leopold saw his opportunity. Using his charm and cunning, he presented himself as a philanthropist, a civilizer who wanted to bring Christianity and progress to the so-called Dark Continent. In 1885, under the guise of humanitarianism, Leopold convinced the international community to grant him personal control, not for Belgium, but for himself, over the Congo Free State, a massive territory about 76 times the size of Belgium. The reality of the Congo Free State, Leopold's real intentions quickly became evident. Far from bringing civilization, he turned the Congo into his own private enterprise, exploiting its resources with shocking brutality. His primary interest was rubber, a booming industry in Europe due to the Industrial Revolution. The Congo was rich in rubber vines, and Leopold had found his gold mine. But this wealth came at an unimaginable human cost. Leopold's agents, the force publique, were instructed to meet rubber quotas or face harsh punishment. Villages that didn't produce enough rubber were burned to the ground, and the inhabitants tortured, maimed, or killed. If a village failed to meet its quota, the soldiers of the force publique would cut off the hands of men, women, and even children as proof of punishment, a grotesque practice meant to terrorize and control the local population. The severed hands became a currency of terror. The horrors didn't stop there. To extract more labor from the local population, families were taken hostage, forcing men to work longer and harder to ensure their loved ones' survival. Villagers were starved, tortured, or massacred en masse if they dared to resist. Men were forced into labor, women were violated, children were mutilated. The scale of the violence was staggering as Leopold's regime sought to wring every last bit of wealth from the land. The death toll and lasting impact historians estimate that during Leopold's rule over the Congo Free State, between 10 to 15 million Africans lost their lives. To put that in perspective, this toll is equivalent to some of the most notorious genocides in human history. The people of the Congo suffered torture, murder, forced labor, disease, and starvation on a scale that is almost incomprehensible. But unlike the crimes of Nazi Germany, Leopold's atrocities were less documented and received limited international scrutiny at the time. He had cleverly isolated his operations, silencing witnesses and paying off officials. Leopold maintained an image as a noble king, caring for the people he claimed to own, while hiding the nightmarish reality from the world. Those who dared to speak out were often dismissed or ignored. It was only through the efforts of a few brave individuals, like the British journalist Edmund Dean Morel, who noticed the shipments of goods flowing out of the Congo contrasted sharply with what little was shipped back, that the truth slowly began to emerge. Morel and other activists exposed the brutality of Leopold's regime, leading to an international human rights campaign that pressured Leopold to hand over control of the Congo to the Belgian government in 1908. By then, the damage had been done. Why Leopold II's atrocities remain overlooked? One of the reasons Leopold's atrocities have faded from public memory is the lack of immediate, dramatic reckoning. Unlike Nazi Germany, which faced a swift and publicized reckoning after World War II, Leopold faced almost no consequences for his actions. He lived out the rest of his life in luxury, dying in 1909, never held accountable for his crimes against humanity. Moreover, the Belgian government took over the Congo and for many years downplayed the atrocities. Leopold's vast wealth, amassed through blood and terror, was reinvested into Belgium, funding public works, monuments, and even charities. Ironically, he was memorialized as a great king, his reputation sanitized for future generations. It's only in recent years that his legacy has come under scrutiny, with calls for his statues to be removed and his crimes against the Congolese to be acknowledged. Leopold's legacy and the lessons for today. The legacy of King Leopold II is a brutal reminder of how unchecked power and greed can lead to unimaginable cruelty. The scars of his reign are still felt in the Congo today, a country that has faced decades of instability and exploitation. Unlike Hitler, whose name is synonymous with evil, Leopold's name rarely stirs the same horror or recognition. But the atrocities he committed were every bit as cruel and calculated. As we remember the victims of the Holocaust, we must also remember those who suffered and perished in the Congo under Leopold's brutal rule. History cannot afford to forget these atrocities, for they hold lessons about colonialism, racism, and the lengths to which humanity can fall in the pursuit of power and wealth. The story of King Leopold II and the Congo Free State is a dark chapter that challenges the narrative of Europe's civilizing mission in Africa. It's a reminder that history is not just a collection of names and dates, but a record of real lives impacted by the decisions of those in power. Leopold's reign over the Congo, though less well known than the horrors of World War II, is no less shocking in its cruelty. If you found this story eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to help bring awareness to these forgotten atrocities. History isn't always kind, but by remembering, we honor the millions who suffered and ensure that we learn from the mistakes of the past. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of a lesser-known but devastating piece of history. If you have thoughts or questions, leave them in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective on King Leopold II and the lasting impact of his rule. Until next time, keep seeking out the truth and exploring the mysteries of history